I'm sure a lot of people, when the fascist takeovers were happening in Germany, were going, man, the Germans deserved it after World War I. Ha ha ha. It's funny to see the government of Germany fall into such disorder. Oh man, they got those clowns, the fascists. Looks like the Germans are finally getting their comeuppance. How'd that end up working out for the German people? And how'd that end up working out for the world? You think if the United States of America slipped further into fascism, that would be liberatory for the world?
4 months.
You want to see us? We could turn way darker than what we're doing right now. And you think America's done interfering with the rest of the world if it falls to fascism? You are fucking deluded. We'll be in a war with China or some insane ass shit, because that's what fascists do. They fight wars. 1 in 5 voters, including 45% of Republicans, approve of the storming of the Capitol building. In other words, 20% of American voters are fascists. Full-blown fascists. And you know, that's enough to win. That's enough to take power. That's enough. That is enough. If the rest of society doesn't stand up to these people, that's enough. School is not important. Work is not important. Nothing is more important than stopping fascism, because fascism will stop us all. The problem is that we still have to watch speeches from the 60s for leadership. Not a good sign. Absolutely not a good... Hey! What do you think we're trying to do here? I'm so glad Kamala Harris lost. Can I just say that? Can I just say thank God Kamala Harris is not president of the United States? Can you imagine how dire things would be?
I could end the video right there, couldn't I? Surely nothing is gonna beat that transition. Surely. Like Hasan, Mike from PA is a streamer I've only really understood through people's reactions to him. He runs in the same leftist circles, he gets in the same kinds of Twitter fights, he says the same dumb inflammatory stuff.
Can you imagine how dire things would be?
Always trying to be the smartest person in the room, without checking what the people there actually know. Like Dwight impersonating Michael impersonating Ryan. But where Hasan has created an image of himself that makes him brand safe, at least for Twitch.
What are you gonna do, bro?
Mike makes no such compromises for what he believes. From his cringe to his couch, what you see is what you get. Yet despite his sofa battery, he has still amassed a large following and gets thousands of monthly subs, making him one of the biggest left-wing streamers on Twitch. But I don't just want to talk about his greatest hits. It feels very high school, and there's enough of that in streaming.
Let's up those numbers!
People listen to what he has to say, and I want to know why. So, same as last time, I listened to him for 1 week, and I'm going to tell you what I learned. And endured. I think watching Hasan helped me for what to expect.
Whenever you see Hutch anywhere on this platform, if you are my subscriber, you are contractually obligated to use DSA Pay Up. If you ever see this bald-headed fuck,
Wait.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the drama...
Hang on.
I still have this ready in case we ever talk about the war. I have the cube.
The cube?
The reason why... Okay, the thing is, I have a certain way about me, which is I am more harshly anti-liberal than Hasan. And so people that have a liberalism within themselves... And I do too.
What does that mean?
Let's go make fun of Ethan Klein now.
Why?
I am not an abolitionist because people like Destiny exist in our society.
Okay, stop. This is, to put it mildly, a lot. And if you're not careful, it can run you over. But don't worry, I'm here to be your guide, so take my hand and we'll get through the madness together. Hopefully.
What we need to do is collect all this evidence, and we need to start mailing it to every single district attorney, every single detective, contacting politicians on both sides of the aisle until something is done. Because right now, there is an open and notorious child sex predator advocating for the predation of children. We need to intervene before somebody is killed. Disagree, we shouldn't get involved in this. This isn't up to us. The problem I have with people like you is you think, like a liberal, that these systems work. work. This is the essence of why your politics is shit. Throwing up your hands and saying, I don't want to get involved. That's how predators get away with it. And right now, we have a pedophilic cult that people are working to inject into the mainstream Democratic Party. This is a crisis. And ignoring it and hoping it goes away on its own is liberal bullshit. It's rape culture. It's exactly why predators get away with their crimes.
This will not be the last time he calls on his audience to do something that's more likely to make things worse than to actually help.
If Destiny gets arrested and he goes to prison, or like he gets prosecuted, I swear to God, we're flying out to Miami for vacation and we're doing some streams of the trial, chat. Florida State Court broadcast their courtroom hearings. Poggers! We could just... And we don't have to go down to Miami until sentencing day.
It's kind of jarring to see Mike speak so flippantly about this when before he was saying that the justice system doesn't do anything.
He's going to flee to Israel as soon as he can. He's not Jewish though, chat. So he can't do Aliyah, or however you say it. Aliyah. Yeah, Aliyah. Thank you. Aliyah. I can never pronounce that shit. What you gotta understand about Ethan and Destiny, they're the same guy. They don't care about shit.
You see what's happening?
Like, Hasan and I are political because we care about the world and we care about politics and we care about trying to get certain outcomes in elections and in political and social movements.
Obviously, he doesn't keep up this kind of energy the whole stream, but when it emerges, the tone shifts. It becomes less conversation and more evangelizing, like almost literally.
If there's a moral code or beliefs or just a sense of right and wrong, it's going to cause you friction in your life. And so if you're going to be a principled person, you must build up an army of people around you.
Mike is akin to a preacher, espousing a tale of good and evil, socialists and liberals/conservatives.
You must build up solidarity with a collective of people that will align with you. That's the only way to punish sociopaths.
He speaks of the wicked.
Ethan Klein and Destiny, they don't give a shit about anything but what's in their own benefit. They believe in nothing. They have no moral values. Every word they say, if it can advantage them, will be a lie.
That the people are waiting and ready to hear them spread the good word.
The reason why the left exists is what we've realized is that the vast majority of people are good people. They just don't know their own power. And this is why the left is the next stage in human development. The left is when we, the people, together, collectively, enact our morals and our values in the interests of humanity, and we destroy the parasitical classes of sociopaths that have dominated human society since we settled down around our first agricultural fields in the Nile Valley.
And if we just follow the righteous path, we will be delivered unto the promised land.
We build systems of interlocking accountability and transparency. That is the next step of human evolution. Capitalism is the final form of domination. And personalities like Ethan Klein, personalities like Destiny, they thrive under neoliberal capitalism. And so it is up to you and I to enact our will that the world not be like that anymore. And moral values and humanitarianism guide the future. And so I need you to stand up and join me and fight shoulder to shoulder for a better world, which involves holding these people accountable.
To be cast down and derided endlessly.
And you need to start shaming people that are openly supportive of Destiny or Ethan Klein or any other Zionist. It has to be socially unacceptable to be a freak. It needs to be socially unacceptable to be a sociopathic liar. And the fact is that Ethan Klein is a Zionist.
He really doesn't stop going after Ethan.
He wanted to go online and posture as being pro-Palestinian, while at the same time understanding that the structures of Israel and its apartheid made that impossible. And when October 7th happened, those contradictions were exposed. And all the fake pro-Palestinian two-state solution people have exposed themselves as the genocidal apartheid supporters that they are.
It's crazy. How do you not see it?
And to a Zionist like Ethan Klein, pedophilia is ignorable as long as you support the genocide. That's literally what it is.
There's a line between disagree with a position or not liking someone's character and just ripping on them for huge chunks of time.
Part of the reasons people got mad at me is because I called AB out for being a cowardly little bitch. And it's time for us to move on to all of our enemies have been exposed as botters.
Here he accuses Asmongold of being botted by right-wing oligarchs.
Let's see who would do it. Like, I feel like the Mercers are behind it. Obviously, Elon Musk. I feel like the Gamergate shit has been a project of Steve Bannon from the beginning.
I have no idea how or why some accounts on Twitch had bots in their audience. There are likely overlapping reasons. But I don't think Mike realizes that by saying it's the influence of oligarchs, he's inviting scrutiny into his and Hasan's audience over whether they would also be getting botted by a country like Qatar given their desire for influence on US politics.
Tectone, admit that you paid for bots yourself. The thing about somebody like Zach, he is legitimately a stupid, vile piece of shit. These things exist because of American foreign policy intervention. We invade Iraq, we create ISIS. ISIS is aligned with what? The Gulf states and Israel.
That is wildly incorrect.
Al-Qaeda was created by America. The Taliban was created by America and Pakistan. The Mujahideen was created and supplied by America. Why? To fight secular, left-leaning organizations and nationalist organizations. Not even communism. And Asmongold is leading all of his audience down the fucking primrose path to death, suicide, and isolation. The world's not going to be miserable like you Zach, surrounded by cockroaches and filth.
Like, I don't think I've ever agreed with an Asmongold political take, but I wouldn't spend 30 minutes a day insulting him, especially to an audience that's already on my side.
If you fall into this rabbit hole, you are dumber than dirt.
Next, we watch a clip of Trump.
This is the essence of the conservative movement. This is Zach Rar. This is what the internet does. It convinces you that everybody else is dumb because the algorithm shows you stuff that makes you want to engage. It's an addictive dopamine machine.
It's interesting that he calls this out at the same time he embodies it. I don't know if it's intentional or not.
It's the tiny right-wing fringe. The dumbest of the people of the country, but they represent no more than 30 to 35% of people at the absolute most.
I don't think that's the fringe then.
Somebody asked me, Mike, what do we do with fascist Nazis? Do we show them mercy or smile? The answer is mercy is a luxury of the victorious. We do what we need to do to defeat fascism, and when it is broken, when it is defeated and crushed, when there is no more right-wing resistance, then we are magnanimous.
Okay, but who counts as a fascist in your view, given that, as we'll soon find out, you see the Democrats as collaborators?
But up until that point is achieved, we must fight pragmatically to get there. And any other way of being is folly.
Wild levels of hypocrisy that he would say all this while vocally denouncing Kamala Harris.
We have to use the tools of our enemy to defeat them.
Mike gets asked about Gaddafi, former leader of Libya, and his response is something.
What's Gaddafi? Gaddafi is a complicated figure who had a lot of flaws, but undoubtedly he was one of the only models of successful development in Africa. That's why they attacked Gaddafi, because they didn't want the power of a good example.
Actually, Gaddafi was about to roll tanks into Tripoli, the capital of Libya, to suppress a popular uprising because people were unhappy with his broken promises and authoritarian oppression.
All right, I'm ready to talk more about politics now. I think we've done as much drama as I could fucking handle.
Oh boy, Israel.
Israel bombs a hospital, and then when journalists and first responders come to heal the wounded, Israel bombed them live on...
I'm not even going to disagree with the premise, but you have a Putin as bad cube, and this is the worst war crime you've ever seen? I have questions.
And Reuters have also confirmed their journalists and freelancers died in the strike.
They all do this, don't they?
Liberals try to say that it's a genocide in Ukraine while ignoring the blatant genocide that goes on in Gaza.
So, where's the cube?
Now we move on to the main Senate race.
And it seems like he's good on Palestine. It seems like he's good on economic issues.
He calls Susan Collins a fleshlight. That's nice.
And when the choice is between Susan Collins, Donald Trump's fleshlight, or Donald Trump's puppet or ventriloquist dummy.
Then he gets into the California-Texas redistricting battle, and you think for a moment he gets it.
If the Nazis and the fascists are going to take power through cheating, you better cheat back. It's called reciprocal morality. If somebody backstabs, you've got to stab them right back. They have to be punished right away. If you let them profit, then they'll do it again.
And then it goes off the rails.
Hamas doesn't exist if you do reciprocal morality, because if Palestinians have the same rights as Israelis, then there's no cause for war. The reason why the Israelis feel like they can fight a war is because they're being supported and they're being rewarded and they're being incentivized. If Israelis were punished, they would stop doing it.
This is a complete misunderstanding of the conflict.
This is the politician I've been looking for, not just someone who talks big, but who actually is interested in governance.
He's only been an assemblyman at this point. All he has is talk. I support him, but I know if I hold him to literally every promise he's made, I'll be disappointed. He can't single-handedly upend the system, and I'm glad one person doesn't have that power. Wait, hang on. Let me try something here.
Somebody who is actually going to clean up our shit fucking government, clean out the parasites, clean out the consultants, who recognizes that value for your tax dollar, they don't have infinite consultants who are just soaking up money and excess lawyers.
Now here's where Mike gets to Kilmar Abrego Garcia, one of the many who were deported by ICE to CICOT, the prison in El Salvador, and was fortunate enough to be returned. Now Kilmar is facing being deported once again. Mike put his name in the stream title, so I assume he's going to spend a lot of time talking about him. And because it's important to hear about this, I'm going to play every word he says about it, and fast forward where he just lets the clip play.
All right, here's another story I wanted to talk about. Chat, they just re-arrested Kilmar Abrego Garcia. ICE just did a honeypot where he came in for his mandatory check-in and they arrested him. Like, this is just an absolutely insane fucking violation of all of our rights.
In the building behind.
I mean, this is fascism. There's really nothing more to say. This guy has not had his opportunity to have his case heard in court. He is a legal permanent resident of the country. That means he has a legal status in this country. It means that he is loyal to this country, and he's not being treated with the requisite rights of facing a fair trial. And as we were speaking, Trump made a blatantly unconstitutional executive order banning the burning of the flag.
We will not hear about Kilmar again this stream.
It's humiliating to be an American. It is. That's the only reaction I have. Our country is now under the thrall of the dumbest sack of shit.
But we will hear a more emphatic repudiation of Trump for a much more unforgivable sin.
With the stolen World Cup trophy. Why is that in the White House?
Lastly, during an extended segment where he glazes China, he brings up that the CCP killed American spies. You have 3 seconds to figure out whose side he came down on with that.
China dismantled CIA spying operations and killed sources, report. Yeah, wow, I can't believe China is not letting the CIA ruin their country.
If Mike were paid by China, would he sound any different here?
You're supposed to allow us to install the biggest pedophile as your president, just like we did in Afghanistan.
I am as happy as anyone that Trump is gone. I just worry. I have PTSD from 2008.
I mean, can we just dispel with this idea that there are no differences between the two parties?
I think there is definitely differences between the two parties. Absolutely, obviously. Okay. What separates me from some other online leftists, I'm not going to find the cloud in every silver lining, you know, because if you're always trying to find why things are bad in every situation, it's going to demoralize you. It's going to disempower you. It's going to make you cynical. And then you're just going to do nothing. I fight for what the right thing is. And then when I can grab the bag for regular people and it's not as much as I want, I grab it. Hopefully you don't have to experience the pain that I experienced.
I think it's safe to say that we're fucked.
Well, that's one way to start the day. So what happened?
Donald Trump is going to take 10% ownership in Intel.
That's what did it?
And there is absolutely no peep about it, not even from Wall Street. Now, I'm in favor of it, but to liberals and to right-wingers, that's supposed to be communism. That's supposed to be China shit. Can you imagine if Bernie Sanders tried to do the same thing? Wall Street there would be a 5,000-point crash.
He just keeps yelling about Intel. I'm more inclined to think he's upset because he owns Intel stock than that this is the actual crisis that will come up to the danger of Trump.
At the same time, Donald Trump is saying he's going to fire a Federal Reserve Bank governor, Lisa Cook. This is Erdogan shit.
What really gets my goat is that he knew it was going to be like this, and yet he's describing it like it's a surprise.
These right-wing Democrats, Hugo Chavez would be proud. He's such a fucking loser.
And how Ask a liberal why Kamala lost the...
We're skipping the smug TikTokers. I hate smug TikTokers. Now, welcome to the Central Committee Circus, where we will see a man twist himself in knots over whether a country he believes is racist and sexist would actually perform racism and sexism.
You can't just rely on racism and misogyny to win. Why can I say that? Because Republicans don't go out there and say, we're going to take women's right to vote away. They don't go out there and say how black people need to go back into segregation. That's just a thought-terminating cliche. She lost because she campaigned with Liz Cheney, who had one of the worst performing re-election campaigns of an incumbent.
3 campaign stops, no concessions. She lost because she investigated January 6th.
And what's my proof? Barack Obama. The idea that racism is so controlling in our society 20 years after Obama, it doesn't even really compute.
Fucking fascinating.
I think it's a correct analysis of America, but I think from an electoral perspective, you're not getting any truth value. And you're also creating the incentive to discriminate against black women and men and women in general as leaders of the party, because you're implicitly programming the left to be skeptical of women leaders because of the supposed disadvantage they have, which doesn't actually exist if you look at the numbers.
So it didn't have to do with racism and sexism, but it could be racism and sexism if you say it's racism and sexism.
I think she lost because she's a dogshit politician with bad policies who suppressed the left and supported a genocide. But the thing is, this isn't a dictatorship around Trump. This is a dictatorship around the Republican Party.
That doesn't make sense.
And the Republican Party is an anti-democratic party. So is the Democratic Party, honestly. The United States of America under Trump nationalizes Lockheed Martin. That is the first sign that they might actually have a chance of standing up to China, because it means that they're abandoning market fundamentalism in favor of pragmatism.
I don't know what that means or if he thinks that's good or bad.
They're going to build drones and AI bots to surveil you. And if you ever raise a peep in protest, and if you ever raise your eye from your slave labor, they'll fucking drone your ass. That's the world they're building. The wild-eyed Alex Jones rambling is now reality. And they're doing a test run in Gaza. He's writing executive orders that just to directly contradict Supreme Court decisions. He's nationalizing American corporations at whim. He's dismantling the independence of the Federal Reserve Bank.
And again, for a minute, you think he's actually doing proper criticism, and then
I don't think people are waking up. It's fucking over.
It comes back around to being the Dems' fault.
Because of their service of the fucking AIPAC genocide, they have focused all of their energy on suppressing the populist left and progressive left in this country and capitulating and appeasing the right. If Bernie Sanders was doing this, they would call him Hugo Chavez.
Hakeem Jeffries called him Chavez, and you replied to his tweet on this stream. I just want him to stop yelling.
Joe Biden passed the CHIPS Act, gave these people hundreds of billions of dollars and got nothing for it. And Donald Trump walks in a room and they give them 10% of their value. The difference in political power between Donald Trump and Joe Biden is a chasm. It's the Pacific fucking Ocean.
The idea that the CHIPS Act, which Biden managed to pass through Congress with no margin of error, and Trump buying 10% of Intel unconstitutionally, are in any way comparable is proof that this man's mind is pudding.
Intel is so intimidated they did it without a fight.
And he keeps saying they capitulated. He gave them free money, and Intel's management is incompetent. They've managed to lose stock value during an AI bubble.
Nobody is fired up by this. Give us a plan, give us a mission. Plan? I can't even get people to look at the Democratic Party doing a genocide. This is unironically MAGA communism.
And now Gavin Newsom redistricting isn't good enough, even though yesterday he said that you use the weapons of your enemy to defeat them.
And these dumb liberals are like, well, we gotta do a referendum before we can gerrymander California.
You don't actually know what the powers and constraints of elected politicians are, down to the most basic rule of a representative democracy that says their power is derived from the consent of the governed.
Like, these Democrats are controlled fucking opposition, taking money to do a genocide.
You're not seeing the kind of pushback you want because they were voted out of power and you expect them to operate as though they were in power. Republicans tell people the government doesn't work, and then they get into office and prove it. For Mike, the government doesn't work, and then Democrats don't get into office and prove it.
And people are legitimately fans of Gavin Newsom. Have you been to California? They've been trying to build high-speed rail for 17 years from Los Angeles to San Francisco.
Why is it always Republicans are bad because fascism, but Dems are equally bad because trains?
And I don't want you to give distance from yourself from Donald Trump. He is you. He represents you. He is America.
The leader of a nation is not indicative of the quality of the people there, no matter how bad they are or what kind of agenda they impose, whether the nation be a democracy or a dictatorship. We are not the sins of our nations by our mere existence within it.
There is not one scrap of redemption to be found in how this country has been run for 50 fucking years.
Mike's confusing his disdain for politicians with the much broader and even-keeled leadership of this country. The Bush administration invading Iraq or Reagan ignoring the AIDS epidemic is a separate issue from the various agencies and institutions that have been dedicated to improving people's lives here and across the world. This kind of nihilism is how Donald Trump was able to get into office a second time, and then immediately gut those agencies. Why is he unironically making the same argument?
We don't live in a democracy, but we have leaders who are wanting
Trump's approval.
AOC and Bernie Sanders are wanting, let's be honest, let's be clear. AOC and Bernie Sanders are fucking losers. They're not even popular in the places that they have complete control, because when you give the Democratic Party complete control, like they have in California, they don't do anything with it. They don't have success. Vote blue no matter who is California personified, and they can't even build a fucking single railroad.
And here's the part where he calls Cameron Kasky, a Parkland shooting survivor, a right-winger because he's on the Bulwark podcast.
Cameron, I'm going to go.
Why is this Cameron guy being promoted? He's being promoted because he's a right-winger. Twitch's top botter says the F slur multiple times. What's this?
I don't think I've ever been happy for someone saying a slur, but anything to get away from talking about politics.
This guy is a complete fucking loser.
And so Mike leads his audience to mass report Tectone. I'm not against Tectone getting banned for what he said, but Mike isn't leading this charge because it's the right thing to do. He's doing it because he found his audience a valid target.
Let's give him exactly what he wants. Everybody get in there, hit that VOD, hit that report button. He wants to be banned so he can be like, oh, my free speech is being suppressed. This is the Democratic Party of genocide. This is the Democratic Party of fascist collaborationism. It is unsalvageable. It is unfixable. These people are evil. They have to be dealt with.
Are you going to clarify that?
So Hasan was just named one of Rolling Stone's top 25 most influential creators.
Was I in a car accident? Because I just got extreme whiplash.
When I said, don't vote for Kamala Harris, he was like, he's got a point.
Oh, hey, glad someone recognized that.
All right, chat. I want to have some fun. Let's make like the Destiny versus Ethan Klein crash out.
Okay, maybe politics was all right.
I hope that rabid DGGers don't hack their accounts again like
So here he is. He's directly calling. By the way, chat, he's directly calling for his audience to do stochastic terrorism and hack their accounts.
So you understand what you're doing? I'm glad you're familiar with that term. It's gonna be important later. After ripping on Ethan Klein and AB some more, he watches a Noah Samson video on Gaza. And his only reactions for the entire video is just Ethan Destiny drama. He pauses the video as the victims are being named.
Earlier in the war, Mohammed Salama works for Al Jazeera and Middle East Eye. Salama was planning his wedding to another journalist, Hala.
Mike, what about the thought that Destiny DGG made the CPS call and then directed Ethan elsewhere? I mean, I don't know who made the CPS call. I tend to think it was either the doctor or the housekeeper, right? Like, I doubt it was somebody online. He said that his child had a parasite that you can only get from eating feces. Ever get an update on the housekeeper lawsuit? Fox News did a piece on Hasan. I think like this stuff is incredibly important. I have to say, Chad, that Noah Samson and the way he has treated using his platform to advocate for the Palestinian people has been an incredibly like heartwarming experience. Like
heartwarming. Okay. Here's a clip Noah Samsen had to delete from one of his previous videos.
We have direct geographical, physical access to the politicians, the propagandists, the weapons companies, and the supply chains that are facilitating this genocide. Protesting is great. We should keep doing that. 17 months in, and what is protesting actually accomplished? Israel just killed the most children in its history in a single night with total impunity, with a deafening silence among the Western media. If we want this genocide to stop, it's time to escalate. That's all I'm saying.
Now he assumes Israel is planting negative stories about Hasan.
This literally has to be a dictate from the Israeli embassy. I'm not even kidding.
Also, it is extremely messed up that he would call out the Israeli embassy as doing this after 2 people working there were executed, and people like Hasan and Noah Samsen all but outright praised the killer.
Theo Vaughn, of all the male podcasters, I have the softest spot for Theo Vaughn. Theo Vaughn seems like a guy that I would have smoked up with.
And here's where he complains about welfare queens.
Every single fucking veteran I know is on some sort of bullshit VA disability where they're not actually hurt. And then they go and they get another job. How the fuck is that legal?
This might be the most egregious thing he's done so far.
I want to talk about the Israeli bombing more because it's like we covered it a little bit, but I want to watch Democracy Now! React to this. I'll be right back, chat. But hey, majority reporters. Be right back.
He turns on a clip of the Israeli attack and then walks away as it happens.
They've killed these people.
And once he's done talking about Gaza, he slides right into his outro like it was nothing.
All right, chat. I'm going to call it there. Thank you for all the support. Remember, you could subscribe at tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3 sub. I appreciate you. The vibes are restoring. The universe is falling back into place. We are victorious once again. I made a hard prediction that no one cares and that this will never work. And what do you know? It didn't work. Voters don't care about foreign policy bullshit Russiagate. Jacobin, are you being class reductionist right now? I'm sorry. I've been accused of being class reductionist for telling people they should focus on the economy and class-based issues. Dem messages that usually move vote talking about education and majoritarian economic policies. Wow. So all the evidence is the Lincoln Project failed. It was a dead weight on Democratic victories. It was a diversion. It was a parasite. It distracted from the stuff that is actually working. The Democrats and Democratic supporters have much of the same brain rot and moral decay that Republican voters do.
Today we begin on Mike being proud that Tectone got banned before we take a look at his own prior bans.
Easiest ban of our lives. Didn't take much effort. Unbanned after 19 hours. Yeah, exactly. Because they were fucking wrong. Pieces of shit. This one was, you know, whatever. And this one was also kind of bullshit. And Asmongold should also eat a ban for botting the platform. Like Tectone 100. And here's the thing about him. Of course he bots. Of course he bots. He's a sociopath. I don't know if Asmongold is being botted by like Elon Musk or, you know, Steve Bannon or whatever the fuck else, but these guys are botted.
I'm getting deja vu.
Those who's behind it, whether it's Mercer's, whether it is Steve Bannon, whether it's just Asmongold buying his own fucking bots, whether it's Elon Musk, who knows? Kick founder and CEO Ed Craven. His name is Craven.
Serious deja vu.
Yo, his name is Craven? His name is Craven?
It's crazy the level of entitlement that these people have, that they think they can come to a completely foreign country and start flying their own flags of some other foreign country.
I think one of the things about Asmongold that makes him so contemptible is...
And all over again.
He's brain dead, stupid fuck. Like, he's just dumb as fuck. This is flown by white Britons who oppose the genocide and the use of their tax dollars and their military to help a bunch of Israeli settlers kill babies. Zionist footstool botting motherfucker. Are you gonna cover this? Your body is rotting. You have no actual friends. Like, what are you doing with your life?
This makes up a significant portion of today's content, unfortunately.
You know the void is coming, right? The difference between me and Asmongold is I have loved ones.
It's worth pointing out, we got here because Asmongold did bad criticism.
Why did we do that? Why do we support Islamism? Why do we support these dictators? Why do we support these monarchies? Because we want to steal their oil.
Like, we're not talking about Israel as a vehicle to point out the double standard. We're doing it to insult Asmongold. He thinks that people in the Middle East are a monolith, that they were fractured by the West, and Israel is preventing their reunification so that oil companies can maintain their control of global energy.
Can you imagine Arabia with 450 million people, a 7, 8, 9, 10 trillion dollar economy, controlling 45% of the world's oil production? That would be a world superpower. It would challenge Europe. It would challenge the United States. It would challenge China. They got to prevent that.
That is just one of the wackiest things I've ever heard. Like, I don't even know where to begin. Do I start with non-Western imperialism is actually good? Or has anyone in these countries actually signaled they would want to unify into a singular country?
But Asmongold doesn't give a fuck.
This is where it goes from kind of crazy funny to kind of crazy gross.
Okay, chat. There is an active mass shooting in Minneapolis.
The first thing he does when we switch over to news about the Minneapolis school shooting is read a comment asking whether the shooter would be an Asmongold fan.
Odds that this guy watches Asmongold. Unlikely, because all his viewers are bots. The shooting has been reported at the Annunciation Church, a Catholic school in Minneapolis. Fox 9 sources confirm the suspect is dead, and authorities say there's no active threat to the community. Other than, you know, the constant threat of being in America.
Like, you're seeing what I'm seeing, right?
The press finds the need to talk about, oh, there's a division in the Democratic Party. There's a division in my damn house and we're still married and things are good. That's light. That's light. We are strong.
The fuck does that even mean? What does that actually mean?
We are strong because we challenge each other. We are strong because we're held accountable.
Remember when Mike was willing to vote for Harris if she picked Walls?
New polling memo dropped from Graham Plattner campaign in Maine.
You don't have to cover the school shooting, but if you do, can you at least not enthusiastically switch over to Senate race polling?
Susan Collins, 32. Centrist Dem is up 1. Democratic Socialist is up 16. You have people that legitimately are like, China is colonizing Africa. Like, people legitimately take that shit directly from the US State Department and then post it leftistly.
Or talk in a mocking voice about China and Africa. I hope Mike just wasn't paying attention for this part where it's explained how SWAT teams need to clear the schools, because his response would strongly imply he thinks this was justification for police militarization.
We need to militarize the police more. Yeah, give them fucking M1 Abrams tanks.
So he either misunderstood or just decided to interject there.
I don't agree with the people that just say, don't do anything electorally. It's all a waste of time. Because in my experience, the reason why those people are wrong, it's not that electoral politics isn't annoying and fucking full of betrayal and disappointment. It is. But so is every other form of leftist organizing. Wouldn't that look bad for socialism if they faceplant or are stiffed? You don't understand how people think. It's very hard to actually defeat people. When people see someone get fucked over in an unfair fashion, it pisses them off. It radicalizes them. It makes them more willing to fight harder.
I feel like I'm going crazy. He's talking about getting angry and being radicalized by people getting hurt over footage of a school shooting. And despite all that, I cannot believe what he says next.
Corporations are a government. That's why libertarianism is so silly. Because the most tyrannical time of your life is when you're working at a job and you have a boss.
That's just so revealing, as though every other moment wasn't already.
Socialists want to create a society where there is no tyranny. It doesn't mean there will be no authority. It doesn't mean there's going to be no hierarchy. Well, chat, Trump has just enacted tariffs on India. China keep winning.
That wouldn't have been my first thought if I was a socialist streamer finding out about a tax that is going to screw over working class people.
Like, America is awesome in a lot of ways. Not to be ever overly patriotic, but I love so many Americans and so many people and so many places. And there's so many cool ass shit happening here. So many creative people, so much art, so much great food, music, culture. I love, like, the national parks in America are incredible. There's a lot of really awesome things in America. It's just everything that we rely on collectively sucks. and is so much worse than it should be. It's going to take us a long time for us to fix the problems that have been created by these scumbags. Joe Biden, thanks, Joe. Fucking, is he dead yet? Joe Biden put massive tariffs on solar panels, so now all the solar panels you buy are super fucking expensive in this shithole fucking country.
Biden's tariffs were implemented in tandem with the CHIPS Act that would have onshored solar panel production. The fact that you are saying anything about tariffs Biden implemented while the economy is being steered by a guy who is careening our economy towards a cliff is offensive, especially when you saw Trump's 50% tariff on India, and your main takeaway was to call it a China W.
Unabashed Chinese victory. I've been looking at the political discourse at different places on the internet, and I gotta tell you, chat, you motherfuckers are dumb. Not you guys in here, but just the political discourse that goes on. Everyone's fucking stupid. How many times can you post, you guys should have voted for Kamala, or we didn't vote for Kamala because she did a genocide? It's the same shit. The same shit. Back and forth. The same exact shit. Why do I want to even post into this cesspit?
I genuinely can't tell if he knows or not.
Now, I come down firmly on the side that Kamala Harris is to blame for the world that we live in today. Kamala Harris. Yeah, that's true. What are you even doing here? What is the point of this? Donald Trump is president now. The 2008 Barack Obama campaign ran on hope and change, on codifying Roe v. Wade, and a massive expansion of healthcare. He was a liar, but at least aesthetically he ran to the left. And you know what happened? He won Iowa. He won Indiana. He won North Carolina. He won Florida. So, like, the idea that we got to do this because they're electable, it's just bunk.
This is the political analysis of someone who can only comprehend politics through charisma and theater. This is incredible. He plays a clip of FDR to show how he won his presidential race by hating Republicans. Let's listen. It's a good speech.
And let me warn the nation against the smooth evasion that says, of course we believe these things. We believe in social security. We believe in work for the unemployed. We believe in saving homes. Cross our hearts and hope to die. We believe in all these things. But we do not like the way the present administration is doing them. Just turn them over to us. We will do all of them. We will do more of them. We will do them better. And most important of all, the doing of them will not cost anybody anything.
That's how you have to treat Republicans.
Now, let's just skip past the part where the Democratic Party was so effective in this era because they had a coalition with white racists in the South who just also happened to want more workers' rights for themselves. FDR's speech is about denouncing communism. Let's look at a couple of quotes from earlier in that speech. There is no difference between the major parties as to what they think about communism. But there's a very great difference between the two parties and what they do about communism. I must tell you why. Communism is a manifestation of the social unrest which always comes with widespread economic maladjustment. We in the Democratic Party have not been content merely to denounce this menace. We have been realistic enough to face it. We have been intelligent enough to do something about it. And the world has seen the results of what we have done. But even more than that, Roosevelt references this part of the speech in another address he gives in 1938. After which he says, "But when democracy struggles for its very life, those same people obstruct our efforts to maintain it, while they fail to offer proof of their own will and their own plans to preserve it. They try to stop the only fire engine we have from rushing to the fire because they are sales agents for a different make of fire engine. New ideas cannot be administered successfully by men with old ideas. For the first essential of doing a job well is the wish to see the job done at all. Judge parties and candidates, not merely by what they promise, but by what they have done, by their records in office, by the kind of people they travel with, by the kind of people who finance and promote their campaigns. By their promoters, ye shall know them." The smooth evasion he's talking about isn't Republicans. It's about how some groups will use big promises to pull people into the political fringes during times of social or economic upheaval, like after the Great Depression. He's talking about Mike.
The most successful Democratic politician by electoral results in American history treated the Republicans with utter contempt. All right, chat. Taylor Lorenz.
Oh God, this story. Taylor Lorenz wrote an article on Wired about Chorus, an incubator for content creators on the left as a means to counter the right-wing media ecosystem that has dominated for the past several years. The article has since been disputed both by people in Chorus and outside of it, so hopefully Mike doesn't run headlong into its claims without fact-checking.
Aaron Parnas! Oh my God! This evil sack of shit!
Okay, I guess he is. And I'm gonna go get earplugs.
These are all the people who don't say anything about Gaza, right? These are all the cowardly fucking rats who don't stand up against an actual active genocide that's happening. The Democrats hate their base. The Republicans fear their base. And this is the perfect example of this. They fucking hate you. Honestly, I think these people should be arrested for campaign finance violations. Olivia Juliana. Of course! Olivia Juliana and David Pacman. So basically, it's all the people who are genocidal fucking maniacs, cowards, and pieces of shit. Like, where the fuck is the Justice Department? These people should be indicted. Like, legitimately. They should be indicted.
The Trump administration, who I do not support.
Yes, I would support a federal task force to indict everyone who participated. I'm not kidding. Like, I think anybody who did this shit should be in prison. Olivia, you should be in prison. Violate ethical norms. Oh, Olivia Juliana is not ethical? Who could have known David Pacman wasn't ethical? Pearl Mooter co-founded Chorus with Democratic influencer Brian Tyler Cohen. I fucking knew it! Destiny Orbiter! Brian Tyler Cohen! Oh my fucking God! Again, another guy who doesn't mention the genocide. Has anybody in this program said anything about Gaza? Somebody help me. Anyway, chat, look at that. We have a hype train. These people are soulless freaks. I would form a special task force to find everybody who applied to this shit. They hate their fucking base. They know what you're talking about, Gaza. So they only find the most sociopathic freaks who hate you.
Don't think he's done yet. And don't think I included everything.
They know who I am. They hate my guts. And so by supporting me, you give them a big middle finger. You can say, fuck you, you piece of shit, Olivia Juliana, you genocide denier. I'm so glad Kamala Harris lost. Can I just say that? Can I just say, thank God Kamala Harris is not president of the United States? Can you imagine how dire things would be?
And here's where he reveals his true priorities. All his endless monologues and tirades against Democrats that he is glad Kamala Harris isn't president because it would make liberals happy.
She would be sending out the FBI to arrest me and Hasan. Like, honestly.
He cares more about hating liberals than he cares about helping people.
If people settle for Olivia Juliana, we may not have another election. Nobody's getting off the couch for Gavin Newsom and Olivia Juliana. It's not happening.
What year does he think it is?
You can see it right here. Like, I talked about it. Look at that. Look at this shit. Asmongold is not anywhere near the same size as Hasan. It's not even close.
Curious how Asmongold.
There is a really, really good video by Lindsay Ellis.
From here, Mike gets a bunch of facts about Jewish history wrong, and rather than having to hear each one over again, I'm just going to list the corrections before we move on from today.
It's not really well supported. I picked the boring history part because it's kind of funny. This is one of the things that I always bring up a lot is this guy named Jabari Brisport. Let's talk about there's this like trend of weird leftist infighting. We have this kind of, I don't know what to call it, but these weird little subgenres of leftism on Twitter or online where people approach leftism as a personal branding project, trying to signal to the world how virtuous their opinions are and how correct they are and everything, and how they are not tainted by fighting in reality. I am not one of those people. I'm going to get tainted. I'm sorry to say. I'm going to support people, and those people are going to disappoint us. I'm going to keep pushing for actual material change.
Today's going to be fun because we get to watch Mike watch Adam Friedland interview Richie Torres, noted Israel supporter and in Mike's terms,
disgusting genocidal Zionist congressperson.
But a couple of things first. He repeats his calls for those involved with Chorus to go to jail. But
you should go to fucking prison if you don't disclose it and you don't register. I am not memeing.
But he does offer a small carve-out.
Now, maybe some people who just took the contract and were naive and stupid and didn't understand, they should get a slap on the wrist. They should get a misdemeanor. But if you are one of the main founders, if you are Brian Tyler Cohen, if you're David Pakman, you should be going to prison. If you are literally not talking about the genocide in Gaza for money, you should go to prison if you don't register. I'm dead fucking serious.
More Ethan Klein conspiracy.
Did they name their clothing brand after the armored bulldozer they used to bulldoze people's homes? Oh my God, Theodore. The nickname of Theodore is Teddy. Oh, they named it after Zionism.
Then we get to Richie Torres with Adam Friedland, and it is profoundly cringe. And the interview isn't great either.
Half of the files is your guys too, right? Yeah, so you got, the half the files is your guys too. So that's why you guys didn't do this.
My view is release the files and let the dice fall where they may.
You guys
so
lost.
Why didn't Biden do it?
It's to make government work for the Bronx, to protect critical programs like Medicaid, SNAP, Medicare, Social Security.
So in other words, I'm going to maintain the status quo.
Well, I mean, no. The status quo would be continuing what Trump is doing, and baseline not wrecking the country would be changing the status quo.
Yes, inflation was a really important issue. But you know what else was a really important issue? The Gaza genocide. Honestly, I want to commend Adam for not standing up and throttling this man like that.
I feel like the just outcome lies not in the existence of a Jewish state to the exclusion of a Palestinian state, or the existence of a Palestinian state to the exclusion of a Jewish state. It's the coexistence of both. So
that's like saying we shouldn't have the, it was really racist of Northern Americans to abolish the Confederacy for a one-state solution.
If you're really dead set on using an American analogy, it's more akin to you being upset about majority-minority districts because everyone should be treated equally. I'm sorry, it might be hard to handle, but I need to let Mike speak for himself for the next few minutes, because any kind of context I try to provide won't fully encapsulate it.
One thing that you will learn in politics, and sometimes there are people out there who have no humanity, who only care solipsistically about their own status, position, power, wealth, etc. They do not care, and they are unreachable. We start going, well, maybe this happened when they were a child, or maybe I'm misunderstanding, or maybe this, maybe that. Oftentimes you will try to placate them. You will try to reach out. You will try to understand. I want you to see that Richie Torres is utterly unmovable. He lacks humanity. He lacks feeling. He lacks anything but his sociopathic drive for personal power. And this is what separates a socialist from a liberal. A socialist is somebody who looks at that, who looks at Richie Torres and says he needs to be destroyed.
I don't see any other way to interpret this except that he is calling for violence against a sitting congressman.
We have to handle this man. We cannot practice empathy anymore. He is a class enemy. A liberal is someone who lives in perpetual denial and circles the toilet bowl drain until Richie Torres flushes them. What separates me from a liberal is that I see this man and I don't feel anything but the urge to protect the community and the world from him. He cannot be reformed. He has to be separated from us, and he must be removed from any position of power.
Do I need to repeat that I don't endorse this?
Resistance to Israeli power is not anti-Semitism, no matter how many Israelis and Israeli supporters say it is. And if you allow somebody to use your social justice beliefs against justice, you are a fool. And this is why intellect must be cultivated in order for you to become a socialist or a leftist. Leftism is about changing systems to be empathetic to people, whereas liberalism is about bearing witness to individual pain and expressing grief. but being uninterested in changing the systems that produce that grief. Liberalism is superficially charming. It's why it appeals to sociopaths.
But
I know.
What is your perspective other than serving the whims of the Israeli government so you can get your AIPAC bribes, you scum? Honestly, if I were Adam, I would have a stack of pictures. I would have a monitor set up to play videos of fucking Palestinian children being murdered, and I would stuff it down the front of his fucking shirt.
That is insane.
Yes.
Ben Gurion literally said, we'll take a partition to get a foothold from which we'll take the rest of Palestine. Exactly.
And now Mike tries to disprove that Jews were forced to flee Arab states after the creation of Israel by basically saying, nuh-uh, actually they wanted to leave.
Yes, in reaction to the Nakba, there were reprisals against Jewish populations in some communities. But there was a lot of voluntary migration. There was Mossad planting bombs.
I had to Google it to make sure I wasn't going crazy. Double Nakba isn't a thing. Jews had to surrender all of their belongings to the state in order to leave the countries they were in, and a majority did so before any Zionist bombings could have convinced them. It was two different circumstances of forced displacement and denial of return. And to be clear, Zionist bombings would have hardly convinced anyone because that kind of threat, whether they knew its origination or not, wasn't what they were trying to get away from.
And all these Arab countries have offered the right of return to Jewish refugees.
I don't even know where he could have gotten that.
What is an established state? South Africa, you fucking disgusting propagandist filth. The apartheid state of South Africa was a state, and they got rid of it, and they replaced it with a new country called South Africa that had a new flag and recognized that every citizen was equal under the law. And guess what? They just ended the apartheid. It was perfectly fine.
I wanted to include this in the last video, but I guess I'll put it here. I hate knowing Israeli history. I don't know it because I'm primarily interested. I know it because people have been shouting at the top of their lungs for the past 2 years, and even before then about a history they've never bothered to learn. These types of conversations, arguments, and debates are so boring because it's the same thing over and over, no matter how many times you try to correct or contextualize. Not even justify. I haven't justified anything, but a single line of misinformation could take an hour to debunk. To talk about Israel-Palestine is to speak in paragraphs, and it's exhausting. The Palestinian people deserve a better government than they're getting from Hamas, and better treatment than they're getting from Israel. But they also deserve better supporters. So what's next?
I think it was something like almost 45% of those killed were like soldiers or police, and a significant portion of the civilians were actually under arms, and they were killed in combat, which technically makes them lose their civilian status.
This isn't a thing. I don't know why he thinks this is the case.
Like, you're allowed to, like, if somebody attacks your country, you're allowed to grab a gun and start shooting, but them killing you is not them killing a civilian anymore. I'm not saying that Hamas didn't kill a bunch of civilians. They absolutely did. They committed a lot of crimes that I don't agree with. But when you took at the scale of October 7th...
Now this next part is gonna sound bad, but Mike does offer some qualifiers. What I'll ask you is, are they enough?
I think the crisis that we have, chat, is that all of us have lost the ability to form organizations that can hold people like Torres accountable. We all feel the individual motivation and rage. And we all like, I want to hold him accountable. But then there's nowhere to grasp in order to do that. We've followed all the rules, all the ways of resistance that we were told to do. Voting and protesting and calling our representatives. We've done everything we can as individuals to speak out, to cry out, to appeal to their humanity. We've used all the forms of non-violent resistance that we can, and they don't give a shit. They believe the system is so captured. They believe that concentrating responsibility is so difficult for all of us that they're going to be able to escape with their phalanx of donor money and mass media control. That's what they were buying in the Taylor Lorenz scandal that she uncovered. They were buying influencers to cloud up social media with propaganda so that real people who speak the truth are drowned out. They were stuffing money in the pockets of every corruptible scumbag influencer, and those fuckers should go to jail. Our society is not going to be fixed until those type of people are held accountable. I don't know what accountability looks like right now. I can't speak. I can't speak about what needs to be done, but we all know what needs to be done.
Tell me if you think there's some other meaning he could be implying here, because I don't see it.
The very least is we've got to get these people out of office. No more votes for Zionists. If somebody is out there claiming that Israel is justified, they can never be supported, ever. And we have the right, we have the ability to get these people out. There's a midterm coming up. There's a presidential election coming up after that. We can rip these people out of their seats. It's not going to hurt the Democrats. It's not going to help the Republicans. We rip these people out of their fucking seats. That's the only way.
At the very least, this is against Twitch terms of service. And he said this at least 2 weeks ago at this point. But the day's not over, because now we're back to chorus.
So you never covered Israel's genocide in Gaza? Did you cover the UN declaring a famine in Gaza? I mean, hey, have you covered that? You're not on the left media space. You would control it and keep out the people that said that there was a genocide, because you still don't say it. None of you do. The most important historical event of my life is taking place, a fucking genocide paid for by my government. I've been banned. I've been labeled an anti-Semite. I lost my ability to run ads on Twitch. Members of my family have been harassed. I've been given death threats. And if you want to succeed, you have to kiss Democratic Party ass no matter what crimes they commit. If you support David Pakman, you are a bad person.
5 days of this. I should have gotten an MRI so I could compare brain function.
If you support Brian Tyler Cohen, you're a bad person. These people should never be supported, because if they're going to keep silent on a genocide. I was banned from Pakman's Twitch for calling him a gusano when he supported the Bolivian coup led by Inez. He sucks. What a scumbag. Did any of these creators speak about Palestine? I want to know. Did any of these people speak about Palestine? I want the list, and I want to see if any one of them said a goddamn mummer's word about Palestine.
He's trying to do this to build up left-wing content creators, as am I.
Yeah.
And so the framing of Brian as some kind of villain in this entire thing,
but
it's
he
just
attacked
farcical.
Hasan. You were the people telling him, oh, don't worry about the genocide. Young people don't care that much about it. They care about inflation. The reason why America sucks is because people tolerate this kind of shit. It's because you have been browbeaten into believing that this is the way the world works. And the answer is, this is the way the world works because you let it work this way. When the communists took over China, they took the last emperor of China, who's worked as a fucking collaborator with the Japanese Empire, Puyi, and they made him into a street sweeper and a proud, avowed communist. And he apologized. He spent his life apologizing and trying to make right all the harms that he had committed.
Okay, no thinly veiled threats, just the endorsement of sending everyone at chorus to a re-education camp.
By the way, these guys do this because they're trying to get in front of progressive reformers. You're a Biden shill.
Mike said they were being paid not to criticize Democrats, but he shows that they did. So he says, oh, but that's not genuine.
Like, this is the kind of like sociopathic narcissism of these people. Who's paying you? Rich corporate donors and Zionists who want to promote people that aren't going to be yapping about that genocide. What a disgusting rat. Did any of these people ever speak out about Gaza?
What's so crazy making about watching Mike is he'll say things that completely contradict an hour-long tirade like it didn't even happen. Every time he does it, I can hear guitar strings snapping in my brain.
Taylor is someone who also reminds me how important it is that we show solidarity for each other. You know, like everybody's always trying to like find one like, oh, I knew there was a reason not to like that guy or that gal. And they like push that idea to other people. It's so fucking weird. So Ethan Klein's account, Pedo Troll. This may be one of the most fucked up stories I've seen in a while.
You saw a mass shooting yesterday.
Yeah, that's right. I wish I got a Order of Lenin badge, bro. Are you kidding me?
What an absolute W day.
I just gotta get through one more day.
What a week. Asmongold yesterday.
Come on.
I wanted to talk about the genocide denial journalist because Noah Samson put out a video of it. Destiny. Vosh. Ethan Klein. Destiny. A lot of people feel guilty for the shit they've done in the past. toward me.
He is extremely direct about asking his audience to go out and attack other people if they're critical of Hasan or himself.
If you want creators like myself and Hasan and other people to do well, you have to defend us. When some crazed anti-fan starts attacking us, you need to be defending us. You need to not be like, oh, I don't want to disagree with this person. No, you should disagree with them strongly and be like, stop spreading misinformation. The information you're getting comes from right-wing sources that are trying to discredit people.
And again, I can hear the guitar strings snap.
And the other thing is, don't let people use talking points to convince you that being antisocial is actually good. Yes, this is good. Now, death threats are not good. Threats are not good. Harassment isn't good. But when you know somebody who's doing Zionist propaganda, you absolutely should go to them and be like, if you don't quit, our friendship is over. Anybody who doesn't speak out about it needs to be called out, and they need to be asked, is Israel doing a genocide? 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 Genocide, Zionist, genocide? There's Brian Tyler Cohen. You know who else is happy to be on Destiny Stream? David Pakman. These guys are evil sons of bitches. I'm sorry for losing my mind and yelling like an insane unhinged freak, but as a single one of them spoken out on Gaza.
Now Mike has a compliment for Bad Empanada that I'm sure will age you very well.
This is where Bad Empanada is amazing. When he acts like an attack dog to the right, this is where Bad Empanada is valuable.
He uploaded his 100th Hasan snark vid to try to distract people. I don't think that's going to work, man.
Oh, hey, that's Ethan's video about my video. Wow. So this was the plot to Inception. Sorry, my brain's a little fried from re-education. Let's see what Mike thinks Hasan thinks about what Ethan thinks about what I think. Bwah.
You know he was thinking about Hasan when he took this picture. You know he was thinking about Hasan. So the Western Wall didn't really gain significance except for the last like 50 years. It was mostly the whole performative shit. This is a very modern invention.
God, I'm so tired. The wall is not a modern invention.
Like a complete degenerate, a complete freak. This guy is pretending like Hasan disrespected the Wailing Wall or whatever the fuck. What a creep.
So this is what it's like to be taken out of context.
And yeah, he's being anti-Semitic. Like if I said 1% of this shit, I'd be perma'd.
You got 1 week for calling Jews demonic. I doubt 1% of this would be perma'd.
This isn't me defending Snark, by the way. Fuck Snark as well. Smile. Never mind. Not in the mood today, kisses. Even Ethan Klein's most sycophantic dog is getting tired.
That's not nice.
I don't understand its significance, and that's it. Okay, yeah, I didn't understand the Wailing Wall. What is it anti-Semitism to not know? Am I supposed to know? What's the argument that I'm supposed to know the Wailing Wall? If I want to talk about Israel, I have to understand the significance of the Western Wall. Is that what it is? Or is it anti-Semitism? Anyway, it's obviously clearly a distraction.
Apparently I'm talking to Hasan now, so, hi. And yes, understanding the central contentions of the conflict would be a good indicator that you are worth listening to about this. Consider that October 7th was called Al-Aqsa Flood. Al-Aqsa is here, the Western Wall is here. The only way that the fragile stability prior to 2023 was maintained was by having Jordan run it.
Which is crazy. They said you claim to be the expert of Israel, so you should know. I mean, I know more than he does about Israel, Israeli history, Palestinian history. You can know all of that without knowing the historic or religious significance of the Western Wall. I just know it as the wall that Western leaders go and kiss. The wall, before I learned more about it. I guess it...
Nice save. You know nothing about this conflict.
I guess if I had...
Yes, Dubs, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Appreciate you.
Only downloaded the Western Wall pack, I would have known why Israel's genocide is actually perfectly fine and Hamas kind of deserves it. Hamas is the reason why Palestinians deserve Israel's genocide. They're calling it the most kissable wall.
Like, I can see why this is so upsetting that you would end up getting in a fight. It's shameless. But I honestly can't even be mad. I walked up to the plate, called a home run, and in less than a week, it landed at Hasan's doorstep. Kinda mixing metaphors, but yeah.
Ethan was playing dumb about Israel. Now we know for certain he's feigning ignorance while you were around is even grosser. He's saying the entirety of the issue stems from arguments over the wall. It's a crazy take. Wait, what? Is he going back to this is a religious conflict meta? Is that what it is? That's why.
You know, you implied you read Hamas's charter, so, you know about this part, right? The day that enemies usurp part of Muslim land, jihad becomes the individual duty of every Muslim. In the face of the Jews' usurpation of Palestine, it is compulsory that the banner of jihad be raised. To do this requires the diffusion of Islamic consciousness among the masses, both on the regional, Arab, and Islamic levels. It is necessary to instill the spirit of jihad in the heart of the nation, so that they would confront the enemies and join the ranks of the fighters. It is necessary to instill in the minds of the Muslim generations that the Palestinian problem is a religious problem, and should be dealt with on this basis. Palestine contains Islamic holy sites. In it there is Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is bound to the great mosque in Mecca, in an inseparable bond as long as heaven and earth speak of Isra and Miraj.
Donald Trump is president, right? Like Donald Trump is a fascist. And that's trickling down into our culture. We're not able to, he's on the Epstein files. Our president's a fucking murderous pedophile. I'm so glad Kamala Harris lost. Can I just say that? Can I just say, thank God Kamala Harris is not president of the United States? Can you imagine how dire things would be? People start orienting themselves toward that in-group. They're not used to looking at numbers and acting according to the numbers and logic. They form a clique and they start developing narratives within that clique that's not actually connected to reality. And that's what Ethan Klein is in. Ethan Klein is in a Zionist clique. He is trapped in a bubble of people that support Israel.
It's finally over.
So happy, honestly. If you're not happy today, there's something wrong with you. There is something wrong with you. If you are not happy today, seriously, we are experiencing the best possible timeline that could have happened after Bernie Sanders dropped out. This is as good as it gets. If you're looking for fucking pessimism today, fuck you. I'm not doing pessimism today. I'm doing hopium today. There's a difference between won't and can't. For the last 10 years, we couldn't do anything. Now the question is, what won't they do? And with won't, you could fucking harass them. You could intimidate them. You could scare them. You could primary them. Can't. Mitch McConnell doesn't give a shit what you or I say, or any other American who isn't a donor. Now, am I going to tell you everything's going to magically happen and it's not going to be a pain in the ass? No, of course not. Of course it's going to be a pain in the ass. Of course it's going to be a fight. But you know what? People are ready to make that fight. And yes, Chris Coons or Christian Cinema or Joe Manchin, they're a problem. Abso-fucking-lutely. But we know what we need to do. Let's fucking go.
In George Orwell's 1984, the main character, Winston Smith, works for the Ministry of Truth, rewriting historical documents to match the party line as it is understood in the present. Part of that job requires the excising of words that have been removed from common parlance for the purpose of reducing thought crimes. The idea being that if people don't have the words to articulate their discontent, they cannot express it as action either. Rhetoric isn't just speech, it's how we engage with and understand the world. What language, what words we use, and how we orient them determines how we feel because that's how we orient our feelings. Alex Jones can be funny because of the performative way he yells about the gay frogs. But that's what made him so effective at maintaining his audience. They became accustomed to yelling, and so that's how they learned to engage. It lends itself towards conspiratorial thinking because it draws from the instinctive emotional response. It breaks down your guard, overwhelming your ability to critically respond because it fills up the space in your mind, like the overstimulation of a concert, except instead of communal joy, it's the distress of bearing someone's anger. It is audience submission and suppression of dissent for fear of being called a liberal or a genocide supporter, and being ostracized from a community you have become dependent on.
The left is not a place where you get solidarity online.
Mike will ask if you're a Zionist because it reframes the conversation towards what creates the strongest urge to engage negatively and encourage groupthink. It is first and foremost bullying, because the people he's criticizing aren't there. The only person he's speaking to is you. We live in an age where people are speaking new languages faster than other people can learn them. Despite all of us knowing what the words we're using mean, we end up talking past one another. Some of it is bad faith, intentional misunderstanding to push an agenda. But even as we are aware of the algorithms that have siloed us into echo chambers, we lose sight of how they have also turned the common areas into arenas. In both spaces, the social pressure to conform becomes more intense as the separate cultures become more uniform. Ignorance metastasizes as commonality drifts further and further away. It is, in a word, conservative. How many people in MAGA actually know how to effectively articulate their beliefs? How many leftists can hear the word Zionist without spitting on the ground? In order to spread a message and gain support, one must learn to speak the language of the person they are trying to recruit. In order to bring someone out of ignorance, they need to know that admitting it won't be reflexively met with rejection. And that can be difficult, for the way ignorance has the capacity to harm us if it hasn't already. This isn't a call to forgive people who hurt you when they should have known better. Like in my previous video, I'm not calling for finding a middle ground with abusers for the sake of appeasement, but for finding positions of support so that social progress can be maintained and pushed forward. The way Mike engages with the trolley problem exemplifies this.
The purpose of the trolley problem is not to tell you that pulling the lever is the correct decision. There is no correct decision in the trolley problem. In fact, people were saying voting for Kamala Harris is like pulling the lever in the trolley problem. Exactly! It's only moral from a certain point of view. Whether or not, standing aside as a bystander watching something horrible happen versus intervening causing the death of another person, is that cause you to become a killer? Whereas if you were a bystander, you weren't.
He treats it as a question without an answer because he only engages with the theory instead of the difficult reality. The main dilemma of the trolley problem isn't the people tied to the track. It's the time constraint of rescuing them, that you are forced to operate within the system as it exists to mitigate harm, instead of simply applying your own rational logic. All the reasoning that can be applied in debate is about how to engage with that system on your own terms, which is why the way he restricts language and then says it depends on your point of view fails to encapsulate it. His conclusion ignores that the branching possibilities of theory inevitably collapse into the singular path of reality. The actions of the trolley are not dependent upon or limited by your ability to define them. It takes more than a rational mind to solve the problems of an irrational world. In that way, you are tied to the track alongside everyone else, without the luxury of time to think about a complex solution. To extend the metaphor, we create new tracks every time we decide what to do with the switch. Mike speaks the language of someone claiming the moral high ground while refusing to engage with the world as it exists, creating the contradictory dialect of the black pill left that has infected the broader discourse, resulting in endless argumentation of theory, instead of the direct action he himself endorses. He's alright debating about whether to pull the switch after the trolley has already disappeared down the tracks, so long as while the rest of him is covered in the bloody viscera of the people it crushed, he can see that his hands are still clean. Sometimes we have to make decisions that come with trade-offs. Everyone has to operate within their limits. It might make enemies out of allies, but the power of effective leadership is that over time you can win those people back. You shouldn't be afraid of losing someone over a disagreement if you still have common cause, because you can always find them on the same path. Mike's streams are rallies where he leads his audience on what other streamers and content creators they have justification to attack.
Whenever you see Hutch anywhere on this platform contacting politicians on both sides of the aisle, and you need to start shaming people that are openly supportive of Destiny or Ethan Klein or any other Zionist. A socialist is somebody who looks at that, who looks at Richie Torres and says he needs to be destroyed. They should go to prison. I'm not exaggerating. I don't know what accountability looks like right now. I can't speak. I can't speak about what needs to be done, but we all know what needs to be done.
Regardless of what these people believe, good or bad, it is extremely dangerous to be encouraging people this way. Before I watched Mike, I was confident Hasan was the most damaging person on Twitch, but I think it might be Mike. Twitch needs to take action before, in Mike's own words,
somebody is killed. There's an old phrase in socialist organizing circles which needs to make a comeback. There's a famous socialist, and he would always ask, is your hate pure? The first thing he would do whenever he would organize with someone or meet someone who claimed to be a socialist is he would say to them, is your hate pure? If you cannot in your heart hate Richie Torres, if you don't look at that man and see someone who despises humanity and only is focused on himself, and that doesn't make you hate him and want to see him thrown out of office at the very least, if not prosecuted, then you are no use to me. And you need to harden yourself. If you are the type of person who says, I don't hate anyone, you are a fool. Because they motherfucking hate you. And you need to learn to fight and abandon your liberalism. Abandon the soft-pillowed world that you want to live in. Maybe we'll create it one day, but it ain't today.